All right. Next game on my list is Florida State versus Notre Dame. Um, this game I think is a little bit bigger than people think. Well, in the past, if you've been watching college football for a long time, you know how big this game used to be. Most of the time, you see these two teams ranked in the top five, top 10 most of the time. I think in 2014, Florida State was number one. Um, Florida State and Notre Dame used to be one of the biggest games of the season when these two teams met. Florida State was ranked in the top five all the time. Notre Dame ranked in the top five, top 10 most of the time. It was just a great game to watch, especially when Bobby Bowden was there at Florida State. It was just a great game. Not so great anymore, considering how bad Florida State has been. They have been just absolutely awful. They're probably, it's really sad to see how Florida State has become because they used to be great. I remember when they used to be the number one team in the country back in 2014. I mean, they went in ranked number three, I believe, in 2017. Then a loss to Alabama dropped them, and I think they broke ever since. Ever since they lost Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M, Florida State has just been not good at all. They have been absolutely terrible. I think it started with the hire of Willie Taggart, who was not a good coach at all. They should not have hired him in the first place. But now they got Mike Norvell, and I'm a believer in Mike Norvell. I believe he can get the job done. I believe he can bring Florida State back to what they were before. So I have hopes in Florida State doing good this season. I think I put them in 6-6, around that 6-6, 7-5. I think I did 6-6 with them for my predictions. I predict they'll do some good games. I don't think they'll beat North Carolina again. That game was an anomaly. I don't know how they ended up beating North Carolina, but I think Florida State can at least make some improvement. I don't expect them to jump all the way to challenging Clemson or North Carolina or Miami. I don't think they're going to be like beating those teams like they used to or even challenging Clemson. But I do think they're going to get back to beating teams that they're supposed to, like Louisville, Wake Forest, Syracuse. I think they're going to be beating those teams, at least this year. The only thing I think Florida State has the transfer quarterback from Mackenzie Milton who had that gruesome injury back at UCF back in, I think it was 2017 or 18. But ever since he's been recovering and he transferred from UCF to Florida State, I believe he can get the job done. If he's at 100%, like we saw him at UCF, he can do really good. Florida State could be in that 7-5, 8-4 range if they do get him at full strength. What's going to hurt Florida State in this season is their defense. Their defense is absolutely god awful. We saw how many points they gave up last season. They they gave up just about 40 points a game. That's not how you win games. Defense wins championships. Offense sells tickets. They had a good offense. They had a moderately good offense. Jordan Travis is a good quarterback. Um, Jordan Travis is a good quarterback. He knows how to run the ball. If Mackenzie Milton starts, it doesn't matter who starts this season. I think both of them are going to get playing time. Jordan Travis can be elite in the running game. We saw how when you get a blocking for him, we saw how much he can run. Mackenzie Milton is great with his arm. He can also scramble when he needs to. So Florida State's going to be good on the offensive side. Their offensive line is absolutely awful as well. Their defense and offensive line is probably their weakest parts of their entire team. If they can fix those things, then they're going to be really good. Okay, Notre Dame. They lost a lot of stuff to the NFL. They lost Ian Book to the NFL. He wasn't a very good quarterback, but he got the job done. Um, Notre Dame has a good defense. They have a good offense. Notre Dame knows how to beat teams. If they're an average to good team that can beat teams they're supposed to, like Florida State. They can beat Syracuse. Actually, Syracuse seems to give them trouble. Boston College gives Notre Dame trouble as well. But Notre Dame was in the playoffs also, as you know. They lost to Alabama in a should not have been close game, but we know how Alabama treats teams in the semifinals. But I do believe Notre Dame is going to walk in there thinking that they can beat Florida State like it's nothing. I don't know how well Brian Kelly teaches his players on discipline and going in there thinking that they can beat everybody. Um, they're not Alabama. They're not Clemson. They're not Ohio State. They're not Oklahoma. Notre Dame can get upset. They they're easier to get upset than all these other teams I just mentioned. They have been upset before. We've seen it. But Notre Dame seems to be having Notre Dame always has always had trouble when it comes to playing teams that are big, like Alabama. So how that went? Clemson. I know they beat Clemson last year, but let's be honest, Trevor Lawrence wasn't there. Georgia, a couple years ago, 2018. Um, no, honestly, I'm not saying Florida State's a big team. They're not a good team. They are absolutely terrible. But if Notre Dame goes in there and acts like they can beat Florida State without blinking an eye, then they're going to lose. I mean, we saw what happened with North Carolina last year. North Carolina walked into Tallahassee thinking that they can just beat Florida State without putting any effort in, and we saw how that went. And Florida State pulled off the upset. Florida State will also do that. Florida State knows how to take advantage of a team going in there thinking they're all that. But then again, Florida State's not a good team, but I think they're going to be improved. I mean, considering how bad they were, any sort of good talent coming in is going to be an improvement. Mike Norvell is being amazing at the recruiting that he is doing. I think they have 2 5 stars already signed. I mean, obviously it's early in recruiting, anything can happen. They could all decommit in one day, but he's doing so far. He's hot on the recruiting trail. He's doing a really good job, a lot better than Willie Taggart was. Um, you don't have to be excellent at recruiting to be when you're at Florida State. Florida State just drives in recruits because of their history and their culture. Florida State's just that type of program, kind of like Alabama, Ohio State. These teams that just drive in recruits no matter who's the head coach. But Mike Norvell seems to be drawing in a lot of hype, and he seems like he's a very hyped up head coach. They got a cornerback coming in Travis Hunter, which I do believe is going to be phenomenal for their defense. He's going to be a leader soon to come. But to this game, it's played in Tallahassee. It's week 1, September 5th on a Sunday. Now, it's not on a Saturday, so it's going to be interesting because we saw how big teams like, Notre Dame's going in ranked us 7th, I believe, going in, and they're kind of a big team. They're not going to be a playoff team for this year, I don't think, unless something goes horribly wrong with the playoffs and the other Power 5 conferences. Um, Teams struggle on Thursday, Friday, and Sunday nights when it comes to playing football, especially big teams going into teams that aren't that big, like Florida State. But not North Carolina, Florida State, especially now that there's full stadiums, Florida State has a great atmosphere. I mean, their fans are die hard along with them. Their fans didn't leave when they started going down. That's what I love about a fan base. Florida State just you go into that stadium with that war chant and the marching chiefs and Osceola and Renegade. It's just that's like a horrifying atmosphere. It's like it is a hostile environment, especially when Florida State is amazing. It is a hostile environment. You do not want to play there. Like Bryant Denny Stadium, you don't want to play there. Alabama's amazing. You don't want to play there, and their fans they're loud. Florida State fans, they know their team's bad, but when they have hope, you bet that they are going to act like they're the number one team in the country. But obviously, Notre Dame is a lot more talented. Florida State, not so much, but they're improved. I didn't put this in my predictions for Florida State, but I want some upsets to happen, and I believe if there's going to be an upset week 1, this could be a very high target for an upset. Florida State, they're at home. Notre Dame could go in there thinking that they're all of that. Um, so maybe an upset could happen. Maybe Florida State catches Notre Dame off guard and starts playing like, and maybe Mackenzie Milton is 100%, and maybe that Florida State's just that much better, and then they could pull off the upset, and that could propel them throughout the season, being bowl eligible. So, for upset reasons, I'm going to choose Florida State to win this game. You can call me crazy if you want, but I do believe Florida State can pull this off. Anybody can beat Notre Dame. I mean, anybody. Notre Dame's not that good. I mean, they're not. They're not. Alabama. They're not Ohio State, Clemson, Oklahoma. They're not historic anymore. They're not as historic as they used to be. So for my reasons, I'm going to choose Florida State to win this game. The Seminoles, if they do beat Notre Dame, it's going to be a close game, probably by a field goal, touchdown, not more than a touchdown. 10 points at the most, max. 3 points at the least. But, or 1 point at the least, actually. But I'm giving Florida State the benefit of the doubt because they have an experienced quarterback coming in, Mackenzie Milton. They have Jordan Travis if they ever need to go to him. They are at home, full stadiums. Fans are just now coming back. Notre Dame might go in acting like they're just all that. So I'm just giving Florida State the benefit of the doubt, thinking that they can beat Notre Dame. Hopefully, I'm just gonna give Florida State the benefit of the doubt and give them the edge here. So if Mackenzie Mills not 100%, then maybe Notre Dame just dominates. I mean, I don't think it's gonna be a blowout. I don't think it's gonna be like a blowout like it was last year, like a 42-14. It's not gonna be that, or a 52-0. It's not gonna be that. It's gonna be a moderately close game if Notre Dame wins. The most Notre Dame wins is probably about 14, 17 points, if that. The least they win by is 3 points, 7 points. But my pick is Florida State. I like Florida State. I like their head coach. I like Mike Norvell. I like the head coaching staff that they hired. I love who their recruits are. I love his coaching style. So I'm just gonna give Florida State the benefit of the doubt here. So yeah, that's my opinion. No one asked for, but I chose Florida State. I chose the Seminoles to upset Notre Dame week 1 of the college football season. I can't wait, and I know anybody else can't wait too for the college football season to start. But there you go, Florida State Seminoles upsetting Notre Dame for my prediction. I hope you enjoy the video, and I'll see y'all in the next one.